Do big dealer groups have an unfair advantage? Is dealer to dealer competition really healthy? Would you like to know what one of the biggest dealers on planet Earth still finds surprising about this business? In this episode of Conversations, we return to my talk with Windy City Fox Motorsports CEO and dealer principal Ozzie Giglio, who shares his thoughts on these issues and a few more. What would you say to a small store who says, well, groups like Ride Now or the Windy City Motorcycle Company or others out there have an unfair advantage with the motor company or unfair advantages in the marketplace? How would you respond to that?
Yeah, I think it's always a little bit of the grass is always greener. I can tell you every day I think back and I think, boy, was it great to have one store. Um, and I honestly mean that. So I truly believe that it's not as much about the size as much as about what you do for the customer and what your thought process is. The motor company frankly doesn't treat me any better than they treat small guys. In fact, sometimes I get the feeling that they're trying to battle the big guys more than they're trying to battle the small guys. And I'm sure the smaller dealers feel the same way about the larger dealers.
Right.
I think that there's a place in the network, in the Harley Davidson network, for large groups and for small groups and for one-off dealers. I think each of us serves different purposes across the network, and I think that there's plenty of room. Markets are different, and so Chicago's not the same as Los Angeles, and et cetera. So I think that whether you're big or small may vary a little bit depending on the market. But I think the motor company makes every effort to treat all of its family members the same. And sometimes that can be frustrating to the larger members, because I represent larger dealers as well as the DAC representative. I can tell you they get frustrated because they think that because they're larger, they should be entitled to certain things and they don't get them. So, I think smaller dealers there are many, many small dealers who I think are great. And I think that there's a place for them. And, that's not every case. And I don't think that's every case with the larger dealers as well, too. So,
Interesting.
I saw that question and I kind of chuckled. I thought, boy, I go back to the time where it was, I could go into the store and I could sell bikes and I could talk to customers and, it was fun. And I got to know people, and my life's not like that anymore.
Yeah. And you miss it.
And I miss it. Yeah.
Yeah. Ozzie, you had a real estate background, is that correct?
Yeah. I was from the
Yeah.
commercial real estate business.
So let me ask you this. Is your approach to your dealerships, are you a fan of owning the real estate or are you leasing the real estate?
So we own almost all of our real estate with the exception of really one location now. And that's just because we weren't sure whether we were going to stay in place. And I think that there are probably, and the reason that I own the real estate is not because I think, it costs less, because I think if you own the real estate, you still should pay yourself a fair amount of rent, because otherwise, why would you invest in that piece of real estate? I mean, dealers who don't do that, I think are really shorting themselves fairly significantly. And if your business comes down, diminishes, and you sort of use your real estate to support your business, I still think that that's a mistake. So I don't own the real estate for that purpose. I own the real estate mostly so that I control what goes on the property. In a couple of the places that we do, we have, actually there's two, and the two places that we lease, if we want to do something, we sort of have to ask a lot of permissions, and there are things that we can't do, and whether it's signage in the window or parking and things like that. And so having the ability to control your own destiny with respect to the location in our business, because I think we are such an experiential business, is that important. So I think owning the real estate is an important feature of our businesses. Plus, I really believe that, in Harley Davidson world, the uniqueness of all of our facilities and locations is what makes part of us. And I think you really gotta own your own real estate to do that. So yeah. And as I said, I think it's 2 that we actually lease. And one location, we leased it from the former dealer, and he's been fantastic. Understands the business, and so he's relatively flexible in terms of what we can do on the property. In the other case, it's far more restrictive, and so we run into whether or not we can have events, and how many people we can have at events, and what the events look like, and that encroaches on our business a little bit more than what we'd like. So I think owning the real estate to me is the right play. And up until 2007, it was good for real estate purposes, but not been that way since 2007 or 2008. That's for sure.
Right.
So,
That's interesting. What's the most surprising aspect of being a Harley Davidson dealer and a motorcycle dealer?
um, I think it still surprises me, because I was an enthusiast before I got into this business. It still surprises me that people don't buy as many motorcycles in the winter as they do in the summertime. I never thought of motorcycles, I guess, as that seasonal.
Yeah.
But I obviously, as I got into this business and experienced it year after year, I appreciated the fact that people don't buy motorcycles in the winter as much as they do in the summer. Although I still think that people should buy motorcycles in the wintertime, because it's, you could take more time doing it. You could spend more time putting stuff on your bike. I mean, there's so many different opportunities, but it's just interesting to me and that still fascinates me, frankly.
Yeah. You know what fascinates me? How many motorcycles get sold at rallies? You know what I mean?
Crazy.
People
It's
ride. You ride to Sturgis, trade your bike in, get another scooter, ride home. I don't
so
get it.
Al Riemann and the guys at Black Hills are pretty friendly with us, and Al
Yeah.
and I go back a long way, and probably 6 or 7 or 8 years ago, I was out. We always take a large group out to Sturgis, somewhere between 60 and 100 people.
Yeah.
And every year we then, that we stay at one hotel, and we take these people on rides. And on Friday, we take them over to Black Hills Harley, so they can, experience Black Hills, and go shopping for t-shirts and do everything they want to do at a Harley. And, customers always ask me, they say, why do you take us to the Harley dealer? You're a Harley dealer. It's like, because it's part of the experience of coming to Sturgis. Yes, we're a Harley dealer, but we're riders, so we recognize you want to come here. So, we don't want you sneaking off. We'd rather, and Al gives us the VIP parking, and I mean, he does a great job for us. So one year we go out there, and I was just talking to him. I'm scratching my head. I'm like, Al, because I looked on the board, there was something like 450 motorcycles had been sold until that point. I said, Al, how does this happen? I mean, how does somebody ride out from Sturgis, ride out to Sturgis and decide that they're going to buy a bike from you? And so they have a hell of a process, and they do a great job providing people what they want when they want it. So it's fabulous, but that is one of the other things that does. It's like, why would you go to a motorcycle rally and buy a bike?
Yeah. I mean, it's a head scratcher for me. I love your comment to the customer about, well, we're all Harley dealers. That really is, it's the different experiences at different stores that make up the mosaic of the brand, isn't it?
Yeah, and I love that word. Actually, it's the mosaic of the brand, because that's perfect, Mark. I'm actually going to write that down. I'm going to steal it and use it.
Excellent.
because I
Please
love
feel
that.
free to use that.
Yeah, but that is the truth of it, and that's what so going back to your question before, large dealer, small dealer. I
Yeah.
mean, I got into this business because of a very small dealer in Liberal, Kansas. And they're no longer a Harley dealer today, but I'll tell you, that is what makes Harley Davidson what Harley Davidson is, because I could go into one of these. I can go into Destination Daytona. I'm not picking it. I'm picking it because it's very large, and have a great experience at Shelley's place, and they do a fabulous job, and they're a large dealer, and they're wonderful. But then I could stop in a little place along some highway in Dodge City, Kansas, and have a tremendous experience at a one-off dealer who does a great job. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and
it's different store, different vibe, different
yeah,
personalities, different
absolutely.
characters.
Yeah, it's just I think that is that's why I love that word mosaic, because that's exactly what we are.
Yeah.
And that's what separates us from everyone else.
Yes.
I mean, we are the experience, and motorcycling is a part of the experience, but the experience is who we are, and that's what separates us from every other power sports company in the business. We are about the brand and the life experience and the lifestyle. The motorcycle is the centerpiece, but the dealer experiences make up what it is to be Harley Davidson. And I think that's wonderful.
I agree. And one of the messages that I continue to try and carry is that healthy competition between stores is good. Cutthroat competition between
Is not.
it will be our demise.
Yeah, and I think you put it on. That's specifically, people ask us all the time. And that it's one of the reasons why we don't call everything Ozzie's this, Ozzie's that. Every one of our stores has a different name, and frankly has a different feel, a different experience. The general manager sets the culture. The employees have different experiences, and even in our Chicago, Milwaukee market, you could go into two different dealers and have two entirely different experiences, and that's fabulous. And we do that for a reason, because we want people to have, to be able to see the differences in the mosaic. And I think that even our stores compete with each other, but in a good way, in a good way. And I think that's the difference. I think good competition, and I think the competition really should be over who's going to provide the best experience to the customer. That's good competition.
Yeah.
And there's not so good competition that relates to other things, but I think that good competition is all about, how do I make this customer's experience better than any other place? Because again, as we move away from this world where everyone just came into stores to buy stuff, and now you can go online and spend 2 hours online, you want to go into a physical place, and you want to have a tremendous experience. And I think that's what we have to focus on today.
Yeah. If you're going to spend the time, energy, and effort to get off of your Barca lounger and away from Netflix, damn it better be good.
It better be good.
It better be good. I believe in distinguishing the Harley Davidson brand and perpetuating the Harley Davidson culture. And just one of the ways to do that is through positive, unique, and interesting dealership experiences that contribute to the mosaic of the brand. And every time you make a customer deliriously happy, you add to the masterpiece. Join us next time when we find out how F&I saved Ozzie's life, metaphorically speaking, what he tells his staff about dealership economics, and what he really thinks about discounting. Until then, go sell something, will ya?